Today on the Extreme Channel, we're reviewing Prime One Studios' giant City Hunter Predator statue. And as you can see, we're not behind the normal table. So it's highly probable that the lighting and the sound is going to be very bad, as opposed to just being bad in my normal videos. Hey, my name is Mr. X. Welcome to the Extreme Channel. We are giving away $1,000 statues to you guys. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey, thank you for tuning in. I am super excited to have this $3,500 statue in front of me. So if you've never seen this before, this is by Prime One Studio. That's who made it. This is the City Hunter Predator from Predator 2, which honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of that movie. I just didn't think that Danny Glover pulled it off, although there were some cool parts for sure. And one of the coolest parts was the actual creature itself. And Prime One Studio has immortalized it into a real-life version. Now, this isn't the first time they've done it. They did it with this smaller quarter-scale version that I owned a long time ago, which was actually pretty cool. You could actually mount it on the wall. Now, that was quarter-scale, so 4 times smaller than a real-life version. This is allegedly 1/3 scale, but we all know that it's actually a little bit bigger than that. Just like their Jungle Hunter Predator right next to it, the first they released in the line. This is the second. I have a bunch more coming. So if you like stuff like this, make sure you not only like this video, but you sub to the channel and hit the bell notification. And if you want to see some better pictures of these two next to each other, you can check out my social media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Now with that being said, I'm also going to do a video comparing the two. Because while we're doing a detailed review today, one of the questions I'm not going to answer is which one do I like better? Now, there are so many crazy things going on with this, and if you remember, when I reviewed that Jungle Hunter Predator, I did a little bit of a clickbait video because I got it in way after everybody else, but I still stand by a lot of things I said. While it is an amazing statue, it had some problems. Now, the City Hunter shared some of those problems as well, and we're going to cover all of that in the review today. So in traditional style, let's start out with concept. First, very similar to the Jungle Hunter, you have this black exterior museum-style base. I'm not a huge fan of it. I understand it encases everything. Now, on the inside, instead of the Jungle Hunter theme, or even a city theme, they decided to do the spaceship that we saw at the end where the final battle took place. Now, with that, I don't know if I agree with that, but it seems to flow really well with the statue. There's a few Easter eggs on there, and tons of different display options we're going to look at. Probably the most display options I've ever seen with the statue. And to be quite honest, there were some that I didn't even get. However, as you move up, you see all the weapons and traditional things from the movie. I have him pictured here with his portable respirator mask. He has his circular blade in the side, his staff on the left. He is unmasked at this time, and he looks badass. This is what we call a museum pose, where he's kind of posing for a picture, or just looking badass in general, which is why I wanted to get most of this Predator line. I think they look amazing stacked right next to each other. So while it's not incredibly elaborate, I agree with a lot of the stuff they did, minus this exterior part of the base. But really where it shines is a lot of the design stuff, so I'm not going to consider that when I give it a concept rating. And I give it a 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 is good. That's what you pay for, because we did pay a lot for this, as I talked about, $3,500. And that's just one of the options for the statue. We'll talk about that in value towards the end. However, next thing, probably the biggest part of this, we're going to talk about the design of the piece. Now, before we do the unboxing and assembly, I want to address a few things. One really nice thing is there's not a lot of mixed media on this. So that means everything is fully sculpted. There are a few other parts here, but not much. You know, other companies like Sideshow with their Wolf Predator right here in the past, they did a lot of leather, but it deteriorated. So the nice thing is we don't have to worry about that here. Now, after the unboxing and assembly, which I assembled it right here because simply I didn't want to move it, because it is huge.
That's what she said.
So the widest point, depending what you think is the front, is probably about 25 inches. The deepest point, again, almost 29 inches from tip to tip. And then it goes about 36 inches high without the staff. And the staff adds about another 8 inches or so. For exact dimensions, you can check out Prime One Studios' website. But here's the unboxing and assembly, followed by all the different display options. For my version, there were 2 boxes. We're going to talk about the versions later. It was the standard white foam. Everything was packed well with nothing broken. You can see how big the base is there. There's some portrait display holders and some other parts, the body and some of the heads, and then the legs and a lot of the switch out options. Before I jump into display options, I do want to address the assembly. So Prime One Studio, they are getting better on their assembly pictures. Not great, but they're actually zooming in some detail and showing you some different shots, so I really appreciate that. And while it made it a lot easier, you really needed it because of all the different options for display. It's almost too many. Let's look at all of those. Start with some of the proximity pieces you can put around the base. Now in my version, there were two Predator 2 nameplates, which I don't like, so I put back in the box. I also got his spear tip right here that shot out of his gun. You can put it anywhere, same with these skulls. On the back of his left leg, you could put in this little piece, or I believe it's his med pack, so you could switch it out for his med pack. His right arm, you could do short blades. You could technically do no blades as well, or long blades. Regarding the hands, there is a closed fist hand on the right hand. Still a closed fist, but his thumb is sticking down. Or an open palm, as you see right here. He can be holding his portable respirator that we saw in the movie. He can be holding his disc blade. Now, if he's not holding his disc blade, you have a few options. There's a spot for his disc blade, and then you actually put a disc blade in there if he's not holding it. Moving to his left arm, you can see they have the timer for the bomb, so you can keep it closed, you can open it up, and it does have a light up feature, which was actually pretty cool. Looks better in person than it does on pictures here. Also on his gauntlet, he had this piece that kind of was flush with it right here, but it could also pop out, and I believe this is where he shot some barbs from. He can have an open hand. He could be holding his net gun right here. He can be holding his spear when it was retracted. Remember, he got his hand cut off as well by Danny Glover, so you could do that as an option and lay the hand on the base. Supposed to be fluorescent paint. I couldn't get it to glow no matter what. Or you can do a long spear, as you see right here. Moving up, there are two shoulder cannons. One is damaged like this. It does not light up. The non-damaged one does light up, but I'm not going to use that one, so I didn't bother to put batteries in it, but this is what it looks like on their website. 4 portraits. One, the traditional mask. Now this mask does have a light up feature right here. And then I think this is a concept mask, so it wasn't really in the movie. They call this a closed mouth version, even though the mandibles are a little bit open. And then the roaring mandible, roaring mouth. And they also have 3 display stands for additional portraits, which is great. Now, my biggest complaint about all the different display options, other than what do I do, and do I keep them out, do I put them back in the box, is this right here. So I would love to have a mask just to put it at the bottom, also to help fill in some of this empty space. There's a hell of a lot of it, just like the Jungle Hunter Predator, and it creates a bigger size of the base that you don't really need, which makes this hard to display. So if you're going to have that big of a base, let's fill it in with some things like the mask. Now the problem with that, this mask actually comes off from one of the portraits. I plan to display all the portraits together, not only of the current Alien and Predator stuff I have, as you see right here, but also future ones coming in. So I need to find an additional mask of some type. I love all the different display options. Certainly you can find something you're happy with. For now, I'm sticking with his staff, the roaring portrait, if you will, and then also the portable respirator. A lot of the stuff is going back in the box. But really the big negative I would say about design is the wasted space on the base. While certainly there's some physics to it, I almost feel there's 5 or 6 inches on each side. We could have made the base, instead of being, almost 30 inches deep or 28 inches deep, you probably could have gotten away with like a 20 by 20. But that's what we've come to expect. And I even looked at the Scar Predator, which I have in order. That's even larger than this, so that's kind of scary. So hard to display is really the only negative thing about design. And we know this is a little bit overscaled, not much, but I'd say about 10%. I still give it a 4 out of 5 on design because it has so many cool display options. And honestly, everything worked really well. Paint and sculpt. This is one of the reasons I fell in love with their first version, the Jungle Hunter. I thought it was amazing. And I think it's amazing here as well. Check it out. So we could probably spend hours looking at the intricate detail in the paint and sculpt. So we'll start with the hardest thing first, the portrait. Now this is the roaring portrait. They did a great job with the paint on this. You can see the painted veins on the inside, the enamel that they painted on the teeth. Hard to get this to focus, I apologize. But looks great. The quills or spikes coming out are plastic. However, they still look good. I love the way his mandibles, there's almost like some striations there. The top of the paint looks good. I wouldn't say great. I love the moist effect on the dreads. Now they are somewhat pliable a little bit, which helps when you put it on and off. I think they did a fantastic job on his body. It looks really good. The spots don't look cheap. And the more lights you have on it, the more you see that glistening effect. So it looks really, really good. Just a fantastic job. I like the rustic parts of his uniform as well. Now the problem with it is he's so brown, and a lot of that is kind of that bronze hint. You can see some green in there, but really nice job on the paint. The staff looks okay. Not great, but not bad. I really like the spaceship on the bottom here. I think they did a fantastic job recreating that. Again, it's kind of monotone on a lot of the colors, but still looks fantastic. And then when we talk about the anatomy of the Predator, so he has a little bit more thunder thighs than the Jungle Hunter, and even a little bit bigger belly. Maybe because, he was living in the city, not the jungle. But the anatomy still looks great. The sculpt is fantastic. One big negative, I would say, is the blades or resin. I wish they would have made those metal. Look kind of cheap, but it's really one of the only negatives when you're viewing this crazy statue. And here is the back shot, just so you guys can see. Great job on the blood effect, by the way. And the skull, the spine, looks fantastic. Like I said, so much detail on this. Got to give the paint a 4 out of 5. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. Almost a 5 out of 5. The sculpt, I will give a 5 out of 5. I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. Really well done. And it should be for the amount of money this costs. So there's a ton of different versions. I think there's 5 different versions of these. And when we talk about versions, it adds more display options. Now this is the second to top version, if you will. And this costs $3,500. They made 150 of them. The top version was $2,200 more for these skulls right here. Now, don't let this picture fool you. They are huge. Now, the biggest reason I didn't get them, besides $2,200 extra dollars, they just take up so much more room, although they did look amazing. Now, overall, of the 5 different versions, they made 390. It was either 390 or 410, so right around 400 of these, which is crazy different. The original Jungle Hunter, I think they made thousands of them. So I think they learned their lesson that not everyone can display something this big or frankly spend that much money. Because you also have to throw in shipping costs. Now, I did a really good job with shipping costs because I actually bought this from Spec Fiction, a distributor. You can use the code Extreme20, get a discount. The link for them is in the description of where to buy statues. Definitely check them out. Much cheaper shipping and fantastic customer service. They're a go-to for me for many, many statues. But do I think this is worth it? I do. You know, Jungle Hunter is usually the most beloved Predator, but there are some people out there who may like Predator 2 better or the design of the creature better. And there's a lot of people like me who are going to buy a lot of these Predator statues. Now, while $3,500 is a tough pill to swallow, and as a disclaimer, some of the lower end versions started at $2,700, so still very, very expensive. I do think you get your money's worth, and I do think that this resale value could be much higher in the future. I don't think this particular version of the Predator will be beat. I think this is one of the best city Predator statues out there. So for those reasons, I actually give the value a 4 out of 5. I think that this is going to be highly sought after for a long period of time. Now, does it have the X factor? That's not a cumulative score. That's, is it amazing? Are you drawn to it? Of course you are. This is a 5 out of 5 statue. I'm super happy with it. Can't wait to get the other ones in. I have the Berserker Predator coming next, which should be here in about 2 or 3 months. So very, very stoked to have that. And you'll have to see where I'm going to display it, because as you can see, it's very difficult to figure that out. So I would ask you if you think the Jungle or the City Hunter is better, but again, I'm going to do a video on that, a separate video. So make sure you not only like this one, but you sub to the channel, hit the bell notification. But a comment you can throw below to win a statue is, what's your favorite Predator movie? Is it the first one? That's mine. Probably followed by AVP, don't hate me. Throw that down in the comments below. I love to read your comments, and you could win a statue. As we try to grow this channel, we like to reward you guys for watching and subscribing. So because of that, every 5,000 milestone when it comes to subscribers, we give away a couple $1,000s worth of statues. We've actually given away over 20 statues. To win one was easy. First, you gotta be subscribed to the channel. You'll get bell notifications when videos drop. Each video that drops, you wanna make a comment on those videos. We pick a random video, we give away statues based on a comment. You can say whatever you want. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Hey everybody. Thank you to Spec Fiction for this. Thank you to Prime One for doing a great job. But most of all, thank you to you for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, if you like stuff like this, sub to the channel, hit that like video, and check out some of these other videos. In the meantime, take care of yourself. Talk to you soon.